Hello and welcome to the final video for Reeve-vember. I'm not looking forward to this movie at all. I wanted to strangle myself for even watching it. It is one of the worst things to ever happen to the Superman franchise other than Superman 64. So I can get this done and y'all don't have to sit through as much of a piece of shit as this is. Let's just start with Superman 4, A Quest for Peace. Our pitiful excuse of a movie begins in space with astronauts whose shuttle gets hit by a straggling satellite, putting everyone in danger, and Superman, of course, comes in to save the day. I know I'm not some big hotshot editor and stuff like that, but you'd think they would shoot more than 3 green screen shots for Superman to actually fly. You look out through the entire movie, every time he is either flying towards someone or flying away from someone, it is the same shot manipulated to look different, but you could clearly tell it's the same thing. The only thing I have to say about that is, why so lazy? After saving the astronauts, Clark heads to his home in Smallville and finds a talking piece of kryptonite that begins speaking to him. Kal-El's mother speaks to him as she hands him a crystal piece, warning him that the power it holds can only be used once. Clark has a conversation with a contractor and developer who wants to buy the Kent farm in order to build a mall. Clark says that he would only sell to a farmer, and at a quarry, we see Lex get set free by his nephew, played by a very early John Cryer. I will give this movie one thing. That is a very unique Wile E. Coyote way to break Lex out of jail. But my question for that is, are all the cops in Metropolis just complete and total dunderheads? All 4 movies, the cops have no idea what the fuck to do. In Metropolis, Lois boards a train that quickly speeds up when the driver becomes unconscious. For a second I thought, hey, maybe I can actually get done with this movie very fast. Superman gets right over by a train, end of movie. But no, I don't have that luck. At the Daily Planet, we see that the paper has been bought out from under Perry White. Of course, the new owner just wants to make money, and of course, the reporters aren't for it. The president comes on the air and begins speaking about the nuclear war that's going on, saying that America will now be joining it. At a museum for Superman, Lex and his nephew steal a sample of Superman's hair in order to make a clone. Okay, a little bit of science here for you. If that one strand of hair can hold 1,000-pound weight, why is a simple pair of shears able to cut it? You'd think it'd be stronger than that, but no, plot convenience. Back at the plant, Lucy tries to seduce our innocent Clark, but is interrupted by Lois, who shows Clark a letter addressed to Superman from a boy wanting help to stop the war. Lacey uses it as a way to sell papers and of course makes our hero look like a douchebag. This of course takes off everybody, and at the Fortress of Solitude, Superman argues with his parents on what to do about Earth. Depression sets in and Lois tries to cheer him up, only for him to reveal his identity to her a second time.
Clark? Clark? Clark, things aren't that bad! Clark, stop! Clark! Clark! Clark!
Did you have to make it look like you were about to kill her? You right there just made yourself look like a super douche. We then get a way shittier version of the Clark and Lois flying scenes, only for it to end with Clark once again erasing Lois's memory of everything she knows about him and his identity. Afterwards, our hero does what he does best and heads to a peace conference and announces that he's going to rid the planet of all nuclear weaponry. After the montage of Superman destroying the world's missiles, Lex has a meeting with a bunch of criminal heads about his newest plan to hurt Superman. As he sneaks his concoction onto a military missile, he launches it into space, only for Superman to help throw it into the sun, giving birth to our movie's villain, Nuclear Man. God, it's a radioactive Fabio. Fabio heads to Earth. Our hero is working out with Lacey, very horribly, I might add, and the scene really does nothing but show how much Lacey wants Clark. It's back to Lex, who meets his creation, who has a bit of an attitude problem before we find out that our villain is completely solar powered and can't work outside of the sun. And of course, we then get a game of identity crisis as our hero bounces between hero and civilian mode, trying to keep both Lois and Lacey happy with a Superman interview and a date with Lacey at the same time. Lex tries another version of the frequency trick from the first movie.
Concerned, Blue Boy. You're the only one who can hear me. It's my own private frequency. You might call it Lex TV. Look to your left, tall, dark, and handsome. I'm going to blow 20 stories off that building. Give or take a floor or two.
Of course, Superman knows there is not a bomb and heads straight to Lex, but of course it's a trap, and it begins our long, boring fight as hero and villain fight all over Metropolis in the world, including destroying the Great Wall of China. Did he really just fix the Great Wall of China just by looking at it? Really? What is with all the plot conveniences? We now get a super slow fight that goes back and forth. Nuclear Man blows up a volcano, Superman clogs it up with a mountain, Nuclear Man throws the Statue of Liberty at people, Superman saves them. After being Lady Deathstrike's scratch, the world assumes that Superman is dead when in fact he's just getting sicker. He keeps disappearing. Lois then gets a gut feeling and heads to a slowly sickening Clark, and after a brief pep talk, he heads back to the farm to grab the crystal to recharge his energy. At the same time, Nuclear Man heads to the planet to kidnap Lacey, only for our hero to be there to stop him. After targeting people, Superman lures Nuclear Man into a trap where he gets drained of power when he's snuck into an elevator. Superman then decides to take said elevator and drops it on the moon. The final fight begins as the villain starts pummeling our hero, and honestly, the final fight to me doesn't offer jack shit worth mentioning. It's all boring, it's all slow-paced, and it makes Superman look like a wimp as he's pounded into the moon's surface. Nuclear Man runs to Earth to grab Lacey and ends up bringing her to space. Which makes no logical sense, because if a human was in space, they would die without a suit. So how the fuck is Lacey still alive without a suit? Anyway, Superman decides to block out the sun, which would also destroy Earth. You know, science and shit. Killing our villain. The rest of the movie is simple. The paper's bought back from Perry White, Lex is rearrested, and the happiness goes on. So there you go. Superman 4, A Quest for Peace. I honestly would rather be on a quest for Reese's Pieces while I'm taking a piece of shit out of my ass and throwing it in the toilet. Because it would be so much better than this movie. I am finally done with Revember, and as I said at the beginning of the month, I knew it would get worse as it went along. But I don't know what else to say, because there is really nothing else to say. So I'm your superhero critic. I'm gonna go find Reese's Pieces and hopefully find something to rub the images of this movie out of my mind. And I'll stay super as long as you stay awesome.